I remember when I was working at Soden's years ago, one of the bartenders there was the first person I'd met that had a lactose intolerance issue. I didn't even know it existed till then.
Yeah.
And sometimes she would turn up, and she was an incredible bartender, probably the best one we had at the time.
Yeah.
But she would turn up reasonably hungover sometimes and just think, and you could see her doing the math in front of the coffee machine, is this feeling that I already have going to be worse than that feeling?
Yeah.
And she would always go the coffee and then have to get someone to cover the bar 10 minutes later.
Yeah, it's not a good. It just makes you more tired as well. Like, it's like the feeling of, you know, when people have like a big Christmas lunch and they just feel like they've got to go and have a sleep.
Yep.
Like, that's me after one thing if I'm already tired.
One of my nieces after, it was this Christmas just gone, because I've been on a more restricted diet than I have been in the last decade. I ate a massive Christmas lunch, dessert.
Yeah.
I went back for seconds during the main part of lunch, and I'd been snacking, and then at about 2:00, I just disappeared to the other lounge room and just laid down and went to sleep on the couch, and she was prodding at me because I don't think she'd ever seen me do the Arvo kip.
My friend Laws, she used to always like, she's tiny, but she'd just excessively like eat. And if she didn't eat though, she was one of those like hangry, like agitated or lightheaded people, like that extreme. And I just remember it was funny because she's like sort of my build, but she'd just lie back like an old man and she'd just like, I just got to stretch my stomach out. Or she'd do like lie on the floor, just stretching out my stomach. Like she'd just like this tiny little like child stomach that just went
wow,
filled with, yeah. But I don't know, tired for me, it's been a thing lately. But I was so body, brain exhausted like this week that I'm 100% sure that that's what caused like me vomiting and everything like that. Like it just triggered my body to just go, what?
It all goes back to the lack of sleep, you reckon? The tiredness?
Just overall exhaustion. But like tired for me is one thing that I have to be like super mindful of, and thinking about things now and changing things up and everything. And everyone's all like, have you got your finances in place? What else have you got? Like how much savings have you got and all this stuff? And like I've been talking to people that are studying and all that stuff and like, oh, well, we've put fitness on hold because I need to be able to work and keep my finances in place and have time to study and a tiny little bit of socializing. And so fitness has gone on the back burner. And I look at things and go, now, if I don't do the self-care part first, the rest of it's going to be just completely irrelevant because I can't function. So I have to do things in a very convoluted, like backwards way.
I think that makes complete sense though.
For me or just in general?
In general if you're backburnering the most potentially important thing that you should be doing on a daily basis, I don't know how that's good long term.
No.
Like how do people come to that conclusion out of all the things they could either cut back on or not do, that it's that one?
Well,
it's the least fun and probably shows the least result in the short term maybe.
True, but maybe it's because they might not be as old or they haven't had that experience of like really not being able to function. So they're still running in that mindset of, oh, you know, I feel a bit rough, but like I'm fine. Like because I actually don't know what good feels like. Maybe, I don't know.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I had a moment the other day where I saw a younger girl with her dog doing a full squat almost down to the ground to pat her dog and someone else's dog.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I've lost all this weight, but the thing I've been avoiding is strength and flexibility stuff in the gym.
Yeah.
So there's no point being lighter and still not being able to function, because there's no way that I would ever have been able to get back up.
Yeah.
From what she just did so naturally. She walked up with her dog and just slipped straight into a full squat and patted another dog.
I feel like I'm that annoying person too. But that has also come from like a lot of time in the field.
Yeah.
Of like doing that stuff, doing yoga and doing those sort of things. So that for me is actually the first thing that I feel probably way less capable than what I think I am. But I would be that person that just wouldn't even bat an eyelid and just go, just do the, should we call it like the slut drop? But
I think that's the perfect term for it.
Can we work on you? Like, because I'm about to get Winnie back. Winnie's been on maternity leave and you have a fondness for her. Can we work on the Josh Liston slut drop for the access of pats of Winnie?
I hadn't considered it prior to this conversation, but I'm up for it.
I hadn't either.
As long as there's a branded T-shirt.
Oh, my God. I'm getting one. I mean, you know how we say, like, I prioritise health before money and, like, all those other things. I also, close second comes just, like, stupid, irrelevant purchases for my own internal laughs. So, you know, I might not have enough money to feed myself, but I will absolutely buy you a hashtag slut drop.
Well, I've been working towards this for 2 years.
Yeah.
Went from a 5XL to an XL for this reason.
Did you even know that this is what you're working for?
There was a part of me deep down that thought it had to be dog related.
But not the slut drop.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how exactly it was going to roll out. So I just wanted to bring this up just before I forget, because this has been swirling around my head for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You were talking about sleep earlier and the value of good sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that once I get the slut drop happening, that my sleep will improve. It's going to be a symbiotic thing. You sent me a message about having a different creature interrupt your sleeping patterns a couple of weeks ago. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. If you like us, like I like us, get onto punchingsideways.com, give us a bit of a likesy, have a bit of an exploration around and maybe buy us a coffee.
You sent me a message about having a different creature interrupt your sleeping patterns a couple of weeks ago. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I've, we all don't know me. I mean, you think that you know me, but you don't know me. But if there's going to be something random happening, it will happen to me.
Yes.
And I woke up from, not a good slumber, I'll say, and immediately my backside hurt. And I was like, what's going on here? And to my dismay, I had they weren't mozzie bites, they were 2 spider bites, like within an inch of each other on my butt, like just above the crease bit where the undies go. Now, I know there are spiders because there's been spiders in my room, and believe it or not, this is not the first time that I have been bitten by the spider bug. These are spiders. So, and basically whitetails. I've been bitten by whitetails before.
Holy crap. Always
in an area that you may not like to have, unless you were a Marvel movie aficionado or something like that, and you just wanted to channel those sort of things.
Yes, it's happening.
Well, it's happening. Oh my God, it's happening. All that happens with me in an evolutionary process is I get this nasty looking things on my body in areas that they, if someone was to go down and do a Burke and Wills mission, they'd go, what's this going on down here? And so I have these 2 little, they're now nice little round scarry things. There was another time, this is the 3rd time I've been bitten by spiders. Now, I'm just saying, guys, maybe it's the hospitable area down there. Maybe it attracts things, but it doesn't attract things that I would potentially prefer to be attracted there, which would be of a human variety. Spiders. So
venomous arachnids.
Venomous things with 8 legs, not 2. And what happened this other time, though, was this was when I was living in a different space, but I had a spider bite just at the top Like, luckily it didn't go anywhere else, but it was like inside my undies, like right at like if I was to do a tattoo and it said Dine at Mel's, like it would be at the tip of the arrow that directed you to that potential spot. And the same sort of thing, it was like this bite, like it had the white ring around it, and in the bed was actually like a dead whitetail. So him and I had been in throes of passion throughout the night, obviously, and I'd come out on top, theoretically. I had to go to the doctor for this one because it just didn't turn out like you would want something in that area. Yeah. And he didn't really believe me. So he did like swabs and stuff to, prove that I wasn't making up some fictitious story about like it's cover story, like really like this is, Drome Street's been paying off and, all those things. But this was like did a swab and then I had to just go down the full like antibiotic type thing. But there must be just, I can see you going, I don't know what's going on here.
Firstly, I think people that have listened to the show long term would say you've probably had some venomous two-legged creatures in your life as well.
That's very true.
The thing about the whitetail is, and I'm sure that spider is called other things around the world if you happen to be listening to this, not from Australia, but there's some people can get bitten and it's less impactful than a mosquito bite.
Yeah.
And other people can get bitten and it affects your whole life.
Yeah.
Because it never heals properly.
Yeah.
And to have that in an area that is both essential but also sensitive to both your opinion on it and potentially another person's, that must have been some serious crap rolling around your head.
Well, it was more because, like, I don't know if you've seen it. So I didn't get, like, it didn't go full-blown, spread infection, like, throughout my body because, one, probably because of where it was. I wasn't, like, hey, I was not here to fuck spiders in this scenario. I was just like...
You're here to unfuck spiders.
I'm like, let's be like, spiders, you are not welcome. Yeah. Like, that's absolutely... So I was like, I'm checking this shit out because it's in like... Can you imagine? Like, this is where my brain went. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm like, just previous to the Dine at Mel's scenario, I had like an elderly friend that I used to live with in Sydney. She had actually been bitten by a whitetail and had to go to hospital, and it went like all like a bit gangrene and everything like that. And all I was thinking is, I can't get gangrene down there. No. Like, that is not the type of like cosmetic nip tuck surgery that you are after, like at all. And so that was where, one of those things where you grow up on your farm. You said that your dad's been bitten by spiders and everything, and just
he got bitten twice on the same job by two redbacks and didn't go.
Yes,
until he'd finished the job.
Yeah, and look, maybe because Dad and I being quite head down, bum up, like let's just get on with it, and then we can go and deal with the scenario later.
Yep,
that is not an area that I want the scenario later to escalate into.
I agree. I would imagine.
I need bits of that.
Yeah. I would imagine if my dad wasn't bitten on the arm and might have been bitten on a different limb, he would have got to the hospital quicker.
Exactly. And I mean, like, there's no, like, let's just be honest, there's no limb down there, but there's bits of it that I'm, quite attached to, and I don't really feel like
It's like you're landing a plane, you just want a flat, even surface. And nothing unsuspected.
Exactly. Well, it's not quite flat, but
let's not get too detailed.
Like, it's just, I like it. It needs to stay somewhat intact, and now it's just great content, as every other part of my life.
So, when you sent that to me, most of what you tell me doesn't shock me, but that just out of the blue, that did shock me, and it leads me to. The other day I sent you a picture, a comment that someone put on Facebook, and my reply to that, I didn't post it.
Yes.
And it's the only time that I can remember that you've sent me back the shocked emoji. Like you've never actually said it. And for people at home, there was a post that said, it's time for some paranormal storytelling. Tell me your favourite ghost story.
Yeah.
And I screenshotted that and sent it to Mel with my comment about this particular female that I went on some dates with. I said, how about when you asked me out on 2 dates and then completely ghosted me because you loved cocaine more? And that is the truth of the situation. I've never been told more directly in my life why someone didn't want to continue to date me than I like you, but I love cocaine more.
The ghosting bit was a nice touch. Yeah. What I will say, so there was a few thoughts.
It just freaked me out that I actually caught you off guard with something, because normally you hold it close to the chest with acting shocked.
There was a few things that rolled through my head, right? And I'm glad that you've brought it up, because at one point I was like, okay, righto, you've been ghosted. That's a very clever connection. I didn't know if you were like, whether that was your comment to start with, to be honest. I thought, but my next reflection was, okay, Joshua, is that I clearly remember you telling me that you have on many occasions said, I like my guitar more than I like you.
Correct.
Bye-bye. So
that has happened.
Yes.
But that was only after being asked the question.
Okay.
Like, I've been asked by, one girlfriend in particular, she was just at me about it continuously until I had to relent. She's like, you like music more, you love your band more, you'd rather be playing guitar than playing with me, for the lack of a better term. And eventually I just had to say, yes. And for this to work, you have to accept that. And of course she didn't accept that. But I don't think I've ever, that was a positive reaction, even though it was cocaine related. It was the only time I've been just shuffled off to the side for what I considered a good reason.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe not a healthy reason, maybe not a life choice reason, but
I mean, it's a good story.
Yeah.
And I feel like you should commodise that.
Possibly.
Is commodise a word? And if it's not, it is now.
It is now.
It's absolutely, I think you should commodise that story for sure. But yeah, that's the first thing that I squirreled away was, Josh, you have definitely did the old, I prefer this versus you.
You have to agree that there's a difference between someone openly saying that to you, though, than kind of being forced into admitting something.
How do you take that? Like, honestly, like if someone came up to me and said, I can't make time for you now because basically I like my morning coffee every day and that takes precedence over my morning Mel.
There's some truth, they are somewhat analogous in the fact that the person clearly has an addiction that at points of the day takes precedence in their mind.
Yeah.
This was an admission that I have a all-encompassing 24-hour-a-day financially crippling drug addiction.
Yeah.
So I thought that I was given a reprieve, but also someone shared a lot of honesty with me in that moment.
Yes, it's almost like
because essentially it was
free pass.
It was a handball of, I don't want to ruin your life.
I like that then. Yeah. Whoever that person was, is their life ruined?
No, they're the most functional person in the world, which is why initially it caught me so off guard.
Are they now still functional?
They are very functional, super
and
professional.
Still,
I would imagine so.
Yeah. Okay.
It was an admission to at the time of this is always how it's going to be.
Oh, it wasn't even a I'm
no, there was
not
no
happy with this or anything.
Or
like
I'm
this.
changing, or I'm dealing with it. I'm trying to get help, or this was it's the thing. Is
that person now got another cocaine buddy?
I don't know. I guess when it comes to tracking someone's cocaine-based relationships.
Tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big into keeping tabs on people's cocaine mates, so.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
So can we finish up with one thing? And I'm keen to know if you've had this experience because you have a smaller family of siblings than me, but I'm sure you've got cousins, etc., where this has happened. I had a moment last week at a gig at the SSNA that I realised to begin with that my reaction to something comes from not childhood trauma, but just frustration.
Yeah.
I saw a friend that when you get older, it doesn't matter if someone was 2 years below you in school. By that point, you're all the same age when you're approaching 40.
Yeah.
He was the year below my little brother, and I was 2 years above Cam. So there's probably a 4-year age gap there.
Yeah.
And he came up and he gave me the biggest handshake, massive smile, massive hug, and said, "Oh, Cam, how are you going?" Which is, for those that don't know, that's my little brother's name.
Yeah.
And I get called Cam lots by people. And my initial reaction was to recoil in that same anger of like when an old person would call me that in choreo. But then I went away and I was thinking about it because he's just such a lovely person to be around. Max Bloom is his name.
Oh, my God. I just love his name.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Oh,
Yeah, and anyone who's ever met him would know you never walk away from
Max.
speaking to him without feeling better.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I feel great having interacted with him. My mates' bands are playing, this night's going great, but I'm still fucking pissed off that he got my name wrong. Then I went away and thought, my grandmother calls me Jason regularly, which is not even my brother's name. It is my eldest brother's middle name. So to get to Cam, having not seen me for 20 years, is actually a good thing.
It's like, it's nothing.
That's much closer to the net.
My grandmother called me Jason.
Yeah, look, she's called me that multiple times. And I was just wondering if you don't have to name the person, but is there anything that you have gotten over recently?
Oh, I rarely get over things.
I know, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because
I squirrel them away.
I was reading on The Verge the other day, which I don't often read because I don't like it as a website, that ravens can hold grudges for their entire lifespan.
Oh, my God.
And I was thinking, I know a few people that might suit.
I'll say this. I think when I say I rarely get over things, I think that's two-pronged, because I do just shelve them and move on very, very quickly. Like, I'm not a dweller per se with most things.
Yes.
Unless it's an integral thing that I get really hung up on. But basically I'm like, I'll just go reflect, analyze, understand, okay, that person was da-da-da-da, it's coming from there, just move on.
Yep.
Having said that, like, if there's something that was said that I just feel like, could be used in future for joking purposes or like any purpose really, that will get just squirreled away, and it could come out 6 months, 2 years.
It does, guys. It does.
Down the track. And people look at me in shock like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is your story.
Yep.
And it's funny, and it actually doesn't even matter to me if you remember it, because by voicing it and in like knowing that I've one-upped you internally is enough to bring me great joy and satisfaction.
A couple of months ago, when I saw a friend who was rather intoxicated at the time, I was telling them a story about when we were away playing this gig up in Jindabyne.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Barnes was that drunk because his band was playing a show there that he fell over and like almost hit his head on the gutter.
Oh, golly.
And he's like, that never happened. I'm like, you were sitting next to him on the gutter.
Yes.
Like, we were right there and you went and sat next to him for a second, and just all of a sudden when you heard him speak, because when he looked up, you looked at me like, that is Jimmy Barnes.
That's the best story of his that he should absolutely remember.
Yeah, and he's like, he thought that I was making it up. I'm like, we were there. We both were there.
That was your moment. That wasn't his that was like that guy's moment, not yours. You're like like an innocent bystander that has happened to capture that with your photographic memory. He should be relaying that story as the time that he met Jimmy Barnes.
I think so. I think we were all in the early throes of swine flu, though, so maybe that affected it. But because we all got swine flu. But there was a moment.
Is that like a bad run of hookups that caused that?
No. We're all dudes, and we were.
Yeah,
a couple of them were married already, I think, at the time.
Oh, yeah, that can do it.
But have you ever had someone question your story with so much vehemence that it made you think, did I make that up?
Oh, that's the classic gaslighting narcissistic partner.
Did I make up that story about Jimmy Barnes? Because he definitely played there, but did I have a dream that he fell over, or did we just hear about it and I wasn't there? These are all the things that I started spiraling on. I'm like, no, I was there because I wasn't drunk.
That's a good story. And that person that should be using that as like his claim to, I've met Jimmy Butt. That's what I would run
Let's
with.
be honest. If a famous person starts to fall over in front of you, the whole world stops because you're worried about what's going to happen. You're like, oh, is people going to come running from everywhere here? Where are his handlers? Like he's not just a regulation dude. Like he should have someone looking after him.
Yeah, well, I mean, my brain probably wouldn't have felt, but what I will say is obviously don't get that drunk that you cannot embrace that experience as that's your claim to fame.
But I don't even know whether we were drunk. He just blanked that memory out. Really annoying.
I don't know who that person is, but you need to have a good hard look at yourself and maybe have a bit of a reflection on what stories should be retained in your brain as from a level of importance and put them through a categorized section and Dewey Decimal System and make sure that you can get them when you need them.
So hopefully at least one of our stories can get categorised under memorable today, Mel.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully. And for anyone out there that maybe wants to let us know, yeah, that one was memorable, that one wasn't, you can check us out on Facebook at Punching Sideways or Instagram, which is picking up a little bit lately. You can send us a DM there at Punching Sideways or go to the website.
And we do have TikTok too, the ticking and the talking.
We do have TikTok at Punching Sideways. Somehow we got them all everywhere.
Go all the bits.
Yeah, there's nothing more annoying than when someone reads out, Josh Liston, and then on some random website is something completely different. It's like, come on, mate.
Yeah, come on, mate. Be better.
Yeah, be better.
Be better.
Actually.
Jason.
Be better.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, I shouldn't have said fuck. Can you make like a sub thing of as your name is Jason? Like if your nan's calling you Jason all the time, I feel like you should have subset little like alter ego account. Good Jason. Josh is just like, I don't know what's going on.
No, I should. And I'm going to because for every single person that's ever met her, she has the best memory of anyone that's ever lived.
You're just irrelevant.
Yeah, I'm just irrelevant, clearly. She can remember all the royals' names, just not mine. So.
I love it. Can I'm going to interrupt us and the segue out and just say it's been very, very lovely to sit here and chat today. Like this is a bit like self-indulgent for me, but it's been lovely and I hope that you guys that are listening can hear in our voices how exciting it has been to tell each other some stories that we hadn't really heard before.
No, which is good.
Yeah.
Not that we're running the stories in advance, but this has felt really great.
It's happy feels.
It takes a while to settle into a new place too, I think.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, absolutely. And like I will 100% put my hand up and say that I've like been very distracted and had a lot of stuff going on, and this is probably the first time that I've really sat down and just been totally in the moment of punching sideways. So I hope you guys can hear it and I endeavour to be better with it in the future.
Well, that's good. And I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I'll appreciate it.
Good.
And we appreciate you for listening. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Laters.